Hey guys, welcome back to BAM Vaping Reviews. Today I am really excited to bring you my review of the IPV2 50-watt version by Pioneer4You. This one features a genuine Yeehee e-cigar SX330 chip. This is the version 2, the 50-watt. They have a version 1, which I believe is 30 or 35, and then a version 3, which is 100, which has not been yet released. But this one here, version 2, 50 watts. Now, if you want a nutshell sort of overview of my opinion on the device, I absolutely love this thing. I've had it since Friday. I've been playing with it. It really hasn't left my hand since I've gotten it. If you guys followed me on Friday, I put up a unboxing video. I was really excited. The unboxing video, and then also some photographs of the internal wiring, and man, is it clean. It's really, really spot on in there. So the whole sort of nutshell, what do I think? This is genuine, no clone in here, genuine out of China, Yeehee e-cigar, say that 10 times fast, Yeehee e-cigar, one of the oldest, I think they've been going on for about 4 or 5 years now, dedicated vape chip board manufacturers. They're extremely reliable. I've used the SX300 in the Sigeli 30 watt. I've used my SX350, which is their sort of bread and butter DIY modder custom box chip at the moment. Really, really fantastic. And the SX330 range is being produced specifically for manufacturers like Pioneer4You to use in their box mods. So, in a nutshell, this thing is fantastic. Accuracy of the Yeehee. I'm very, very pleased with the build quality that Pioneer4You has done with this. The internal wiring, I'll put up a couple of pics in the review today, but the internal wiring, if you want to check out, I think it's like a 1.5-minute slideshow that I put up last Friday. Really, really spot on. Accuracy, power, and price. This here is a game changer if you're looking for that sort of reliability of the high power 50 watt in a nice, convenient, lightweight form factor here with an extremely good price point. The IPV2 definitely gets a big thumbs up from BAM Vaping. So let's give it a vape. Since I did the unboxing already, I'll dive down close today, but I'm gonna make it sort of a little bit shorter, more compact, less of me rambling. I'm going to throw up some tankometer test pictures I've done. Now, I didn't do a whole chart like I did with the Canna comparison with the DNA. There's really nothing to be comparing it to here in terms of if it's being cloned or not. If you're concerned about the reliability of Yeehee chips in general, P. Bissardo has some excellent in-depth electronic testing with his 350, and I think he also did the Sigeli 20 watt, which I think was the SX250, maybe? I don't know, getting mixed up with the codes here. But anyway, Yeehee e-cigar is fantastic. They're accurate. So I didn't go overboard with my pictures and my charts and numbers and everything, but I will throw some up just to show you what's going on here, what you can expect. And yeah, we'll go from there, guys. Before we dive down close, I want to give you some specs here just to make sure I get them out of the way. This is 7 to 50 watts. Now, the manufacturer, Pioneer4You, released to the websites that this was, I believe, 2.8 volts to 8.5, but that's not accurate. If you go to Yeehee's website, look up the SX330 version 2, it's actually 3.6 volts to 8.5. And the reason for that is that this is not, just like the DNA, just like the Canna chip, this is not a step-down technology chip. What that means is this only has the ability to take the battery's voltage and boost it up depending on your power setting. Now, this is a big sort of well, it can be a big criticism if people find these devices overpowered. Now, most people who are going to invest this sort of money potentially are not going to be too concerned about that. Like my Squape R here, I like to run this is at a very modest 15 watts with my 1 to 1.2 ohm build here. That's about 4 volts to maybe 4.3 volts, and that's where I like it for my tanks. However, if you're dripping, you can go all the way up to 50 watts, but depending on your build, the voltage is going to change, and it will accurately support up to 8.5 volts, actually going a tiny bit over. I got some tankometer readings at 8.6 and 8.7. What else here? Oh yeah, so the boost technology, regardless of what it says on the screen, and this can be sort of a negative point about the chip, whatever it says on the screen, the output voltage is never going to be below the charge of the battery, regardless of what's going on internally. Now, Yeehee, they are pretty good. I've seen it with the 330 chip, and I will show you later with when you have it set to, say, 50 watts, but your ohm build in it is actually gonna jump down to, say, maybe 25 or 30 watts to match that upper limit 8.5 volt cutoff. So the 50 watts is accurate, and that's all gonna depend on the build you have going on there. So Yeehee's chips have been good for sort of, unlike the DNA, which if you are firing below the minimum threshold, it'll flash the ohms, which means you're running off of raw battery power. Yeehee chips generally do a really good job of auto-adjusting your power settings to match what the chip can actually output regulated. Now, that's the big thing for us. We buy regulated boxes because we want that added protection. We want that consistency of output regulated power. So Yeehee chips do a really, I just said do. They do a really good job of sort of auto adjusting to compensate to make sure the power that's being output is regulated. So that's a big plus. Also, the manufacturer specifications say 0.15 ohm to 3 ohm, which again is false. If you go to Yeehee's website, and I have evidence of it in my testing photos that I took, it's actually 0.2 ohms to 3 ohms. And it is an accurate cutoff. When you go below 0.2, it will just say low res and it won't fire. And I have a photo of that coming up to show you that. So it does have the low res protection. It has reverse polarity protection. So with the DNA, you know, upside down battery, fried chip instantly. You don't have to worry about that with the Yeehee chips. What else do we have to say on here? I personally recommend, and Pioneer4You recommends, VTC 4 or 5 batteries. Now, let me explain this for a little bit. These chips have live battery, well, not necessarily live. The SX350 is definitely live, but this one has a really good battery meter which visually displays the battery sag. So say the battery, when you're not firing it, the battery icon is full. When you do fire it, you'll get battery sag so that it might drop temporarily while you're firing the atomizer to, say, half. And then when you release it, it'll go back up. That's called battery sag. Now, what that means is well, it could mean a couple of good things if your battery's a dud or if it's just an old battery, but mainly what it means is what the chip is doing, and it's taxing, you know, it's really pushing the battery, especially when you have it at the higher settings of the device here. It really needs a battery with a really solid amperage rating that's going to consistently give you high amps at a continuous, you know, not pulse amp like you would have for, say, a mech or something, but a really continuous solid amperage. So if you're running the IPV2V or, you know, any other Yeehee device really that supports this power range, if you're running it at 30 watts and below, the battery is not going to be taxed too heavily, so you can get away with other batteries. But I would recommend, actually I wouldn't recommend, I would just do it. Don't use any other battery. Get a VTC 4 or a 5 if you plan on going at those higher ranges, you know, 35, 40, 45, 50 watts, because not only is it a reliable battery, but that battery sag issue is not going to really come into effect as much. It's going to be a much more stable power output. And even if you don't normally vape that high. So I use this primarily for my RTAs, my rebuildable tank atomizers. But I use the VTC 4 or 5 because just in case I throw a dripper on there, pop it way up, I'm covered, the battery is good. It's going to cover everything. So definitely recommend that. Other batteries could work, but I'm just going to give you the best information that I have possible right now and what I'm personally using and the company's or the manufacturer's recommendation, okay? Okay, before we go into the close-ups, I've covered all the specifications that I wanted to cover. I did just want to note that currently, this is a silver edition. Currently, there's a black one, and I believe there are other colors coming. I think I've seen a gold and a blue, maybe some other ones. I'm not 100% sure. That is not confirmed. I'm just showing you some pictures that I saw online. But currently the gray and the black is more of like a gunmetal black. So it does have a gray hue to it. It's not like a solid, really dark black. But it's nice. It's nice. Usually I don't go for the grays. Usually I go for the blacks, but I thought it would be something different. All right, the pricing. The pricing is really good. In the States, I've seen it sold for $110. In Ireland here, I've seen it sold for €92, and in the UK at 67 sterling or pounds. I actually got mine directly from China. I emailed Pioneer4You's customer service, which were really helpful. Translation wasn't an issue. I sorted out the payment through PayPal, and they had it DHL expressed to me from Hong Kong to Ireland in 2 days. Really impressed with that. So I didn't have to go through any retail, middleman markups or anything like that. So if you're interested in doing it that way, I don't know if mine was like a one-off case or anything. I was just, asking them if I could get it from them at a good price. And they went with it. So you can check it out, but no guarantee that it's going to work for you because it might be a case-to-case basis, or I don't know if, because their stock load is probably huge right now with all the vendors getting their pre-orders in and everything. So anyway, if you want to look into that, customer service at, well, no, that's not the web address, but check out Pioneer4You's customer service contact information and just email them and ask. Okay, guys, so here is the close-ups of the IPV2 50 watt from Pioneer4You. If you've already checked out my unboxing, I'm not going to go through it crazy here, but I will go through it quickly. Okay, we take this off here. This side box here has the USB cable. Little screwdriver, micro USB, some spare screws for your back panel. Let's get that out of the way. Pretty standard stuff going on here. I will keep the screwdriver here. Oh, and this is a nice hard case here, so it does keep it nicely protected. The manual is pretty straightforward, although it does not include the instructions for turning on and off the touch sensor, but I'll show you that now in a sec. Okay, so here is the up close here of the IPV2. Nice clicky buttons on the side, nice bright screen there. The scroll on it is really fast. Once you have to hold it down for a second, but once it goes automatically, just the one speed there. So see, you hold it, here, I'll show you here. You click, wait, click, there it goes. So it does take a second or two for it to go, so don't think it's broken or anything. So you click, there it goes. So there is a tiny bit of delay there for the speed, but once it goes, it's really fast, really convenient. And you can see there that when it goes, the voltage changes with it. I don't know why it says 1.2 ohm because I don't have anything attached on here. It really shouldn't say that. And then here is your battery meter. And then there's the dim display there. So you can see what sort of brightness you're working with here. Here is the Pioneer4You logo. The original pictures had a weird thing of some lady here. I did not like it whatsoever. And then they added this like star design on the side. Some people might not like it, but I think it's pretty cool. It adds a little flair to it, I guess. and then you have your touch sensor here. You can see a bit of quality control issue with whatever adhesive or layer on top of my touch sensor sort of coming off here, but that's not really a big deal. It really sits flush, nothing is raised here on the 510. I'm not 100% sure if that's brass plated or a gold plated screw there, but it's the first time I've ever seen a 510 with a screw on there instead of a normal sort of pin that we would expect. But it works well. It works well. It's definitely not floating. You will have to adjust that with your little screwdriver here, or you can adjust your atomizer if it has a adjustable 510 on it. And then your bottom here, you have venting slots, micro USB for charging, and this is where your red or green LED lights will pop up. Really nice, really light. I also threw up some comparison shots with my Cana. I don't have it with me at the moment, but it's in my unboxing video if you want to see some size comparisons there. Okay, so let's get this thing open. Okay, so your plate here has these grooves that fit in these slots here to keep everything in place. I have no idea what this number is. It's probably a batch number from Pioneer. And this is a nice solid piece here. The battery groove is cut out so it fits nicely. And yeah, it's pretty nice. Everything here is nice and enclosed. I obviously voided my warranty to show you guys the internal photos, which I'll pop one up now, but also, again, check out my video where I got some more up close there. It is extremely clean. I'm very, very impressed with it. So your battery goes in here. Again, reverse polarity protection. So battery upside down, it's not going to fry anything. This here is a VTC4. I definitely recommend this or the VTC5. And that's about it for the internals. Really nice joints here. A nice big solder point there. And everything is just really clean, and it's even more clean on the inside there. So let's pop this back in, put the the back plate back on, and then I'll show you the functions. Oh, actually, I might show you this. So what I've been doing is there's a tiny bit of overhang here with the back plate. It doesn't fit 100%. So what I've been doing is I put the 2 screws in, and I don't tighten them down fully. What I do, if I can, on camera here, get them started but not tight. Okay, so you can see here, there's a bit of vertical and lateral movement going on here, and if you were just to tighten them, like when I first got it out of the box, it was like that. Not a big deal, but I didn't really like it very much. So what I do is, when I keep it loose, I put tension on it, so you see there, it sort of drops down as much as you want it, and then I keep it nice and firm here, so everything in the corners is sitting down nicely, and then I tighten my screws, so that little bit of tension keeps it in place. Okay. So now you see that it's nice, no gaps, nice on top, and the overhang is on the bottom now. Really, really minor thing, not a big deal. Aesthetically though, I just like to have it at the bottom. And that is it for the externals here. Really nice, guys, simple to use. I took the battery out, so 5 clicks on. There's your Pioneer4You logo, IPV2. And then we are good to go. So obviously here's your fire button. Plus and minus I showed you. If you hold down plus and minus, locks it. Hold it down again, unlocks it. And then if you hold the fire and the plus, touch sensor on, power or fire and the minus, touch is off. Okay. I will show you the touch now. Let me get my atomizer. Okay, so fire at normal. Now touch. That's it. That's your touch sensor. It's really responsive. It works very well. And when it is locked, it does not fire. Okay. So then, see, it shows please unlock. So we unlock it, and we're good to go. Now, will it fire through plastic? Yes, because my finger is very thinly layered there. So that fires through that. Will it go through this? No. Doesn't work on that. Will it work on the cable? Nope. Will it work through a little bit of cardboard? Yes. Okay, so I believe this is heat transfer. So the heat of my finger is transferring through the paper or the cardboard, and it fires it. Just so you guys should know the sensitivity of that thing. I personally, the way I hold it like this, I like to hold it like this and fire it that way. But that would mean I'm pretty much always firing it. So what I like to do is turn it off. Now I can hold it up here, no problem, good to go. Okay, so that is your functions, guys. I am going to turn it off, system off, and that is about it. Okay guys, that is it for our up close. I think I've showed you everything there. Now let's pop up some test pictures I took earlier with the tankometer, show you some of the features on there, some of the power outputs, and then we will go back up, talk some conclusions, pros and cons, and tell you what I think. Okay guys, so we checked out the up close there. Again, check out my other two videos from last Friday. I did the unboxing there, and I shot some of the close-up photos as best as I could with the awkward angle of the internals underneath the plate in there. Really, really, really clean in there. So I want to go over some pros and cons first, tell you what I think about it. I'm really glad they did away with that logo. I did not like that logo at all. The weight, the size of it fits my hands really, really comfortably. There's no sharp edges, and it just feels really solid and durable. Now, Twisted420, he put up on his Facebook page that he accidentally dropped it from about 7 feet up, and it works perfectly fine still, no problems with it. So it is a durable kit. I'm not going to test it for you. I don't want to risk it, but it does feel, even though it's light, it does feel really nice in the hand, really solid there. The buttons, nice and clicky. The screen is nice and bright. Let me turn it back on there. The back plate is a bit of an issue for me. There can be some overhang slightly, not a deal breaker whatsoever. And if you just sort of balance it like I showed you in my unboxing video, if you just sort of balance it and give it some tension and then tighten down your screws, you should be able to, and it could just be mine, to be honest with you. It could just be mine. I'm not 100% sure if other people are having this issue, but generally the overhang was at the top, and just aesthetically I put it to the bottom, and the sides match up pretty well as well. The internals are amazing. The internals are phenomenal. That was my biggest criticism with Cloudpore's Canna. It was just filled with resin, filled with hot glue, and those 510 issues. The 510 issue on this could be a bit more sophisticated, but to be honest with you, after the whole shenanigans with Cloudpore, I'm glad they went for an extremely basic 510 connection, because at the rate of which these are being produced right now, the simpler the design, the less chance there's going to be errors, okay? I would have wished for maybe a tiny bit of buffer in between the top of the case here and the atomizer. Like there's not a... You're going to have to be pretty careful with your atomizer, and you can adjust to 510 or the atomizer depending on what you're using. But to get it pretty much seamless there with no gap, I have a tiny, tiny, tiny one here. But my biggest thing is, well, one, I don't want to scratch up the top, and I don't want a huge gap there. So depending on what you're using on there, you know, you will have to adjust to 510 to get that flush look and to make sure you're not scratching up anything. But with that said, not having something raised, even though it would protect it, does make it that much more, you know, lower profile. The touch sensor, personally, I don't like it. It works. It does what it's supposed to do. If you have it in your bag or something, I think it's heat recognized. I showed you there in the up close, it wasn't firing, say, with a piece of plastic touching it, but with my finger through a piece of paper, it was picking up my finger and it was firing. You can turn that on, the fire and the plus on, fire and the minus off. And personally, this is just me, guys, I like to hold it. I like to hold my mod with my finger sort of up there. It's really comfy for me. So if my finger was up here all the time, I would be firing it, and it's just not my style for how I like to hold it. But it does work. It does work. Would I call it gimmicky? No, it's not really gimmicky, but I don't know. If there wasn't the option to turn it off permanently, then I would have a big problem with it. But since there is, I'm not too fussed about it. Not too fussed at all about it. So the logo, weight and size, the button, the touch sensor, the back plate, the internals, the overhang, and the gap. That's pretty much everything. Now, for the chip performance itself, there's going to be, generally speaking, from my inaccurate tankometer testing, it's really accurate. The ohm reader is nice and accurate. The ohms do change slightly when I add the tankometer on there, which, you know, changes the circuitry a bit, changes the internal resistance going on there. But when I've checked it with my ohm meter, popped it on there, generally speaking, extremely accurate. An accurate internal ohm reader helps with an accurate, you know, voltage and wattage output setting. So if an internal ohm reader was off for a regulated, that's going to have a big impact on the power output. But it's pretty good. It's really, really good. Generally speaking, and this is the same for Cloudpore, same for the DNA, the sub-ohms are where you're going to find more margin of error. The higher ohms, maybe 0.8 to like 1.5, is personally where I would probably be using this most of the time. Really good, especially when you do the ohms law calculations and everything. When you go higher ohms, and you pop this thing up to 50 watts, that's when you're verging on to like that 7-8 volt output, which is crazy high power if you want to go that route. Not to say that the accuracy was horrible, but there is a bit of margin of error. I don't know if you want to call it voltage drop, or if the chip is having issues with the batteries, or if in general, which this is probably the case, if in general with these boost style chips, the sub-ohms are not going to be 100% accurate, but they're by no means like so off that it makes sub-ohming, you know, useless on this device. It is stable to 0.2, and it works perfectly down to that level. So by all means, use it and crank the power up. This, you know, I've cranked the power up at these sub-ohms, no problems whatsoever, with the tankometer on there, getting some nice numbers cranked out for the volts, and it's been working really good. You know, I don't think I've actually vaped this whole video yet. Been busy talking here, so Squape Plus here, or Squape R rather. I'm gonna have a review on this very soon. I'm loving it right now. Really nice match. The 22 mil lines up really nicely here. Oh, I changed my AFC there. There we go. Flavor in this thing, phenomenal. Really, really nice. But this is not a review for the new Squape atomizer. This is a review for the IPV2. I think I've covered most of everything that I wanted to cover. More could be said, more testing done, but I'm going to leave the more in-depth testing to people with better equipment out there, which I'm sure is going to be coming very soon. What do I think of the IPV2? I think it is absolutely spot on. The fact, and this is only, now this is where I think Pioneer4You, this was their best decision. They went with a genuine Yeehee e-cigar chip. That is the heart and soul of this mod, and the fact that they chose Yeehee with their tremendously successful track record and continuously growing track record with this new SX350, which is just out of this world. The fact that they chose Yeehee makes this viable for, if you want to call it a DNA killer or a game changer. Well, it definitely is a game changer for the price and the power. Whatever you want to call it, the fact that they used this really, really accurate board makes this if I had a third thumb, which I don't, I would give it that. It is phenomenal. Of all the little twerks, or the little tweaks here and there, the little aesthetic things going on, to be honest with you, for this price point, the only thing that I really expected from this was a good, reliable chip and good internal wiring, which both are proven through and through so far. I have not encountered anybody online having issues, except one case, which was a firmware issue with their chip. So that was a bad chip, nothing to do with shorts, nothing to do with, 510 connections or anything like that. It was just a lemon out of the batch where the firmware or something didn't properly initialize or finalize or whatever, and that person is getting that sorted out. That's the only thing that I've come across so far. Now, time's going to tell with this thing, with the speed at which these are being produced, the quantities. I'm sure there's going to be other issues here and there, but I highly doubt, and this is only me talking with my own assumptions and opinions here, I highly doubt, based on how it's built with the Yeehee chip, that there's going to be issues with shorting due to wiring, solder connections, things like that. So take that as you will, with a grain of salt or whatever, but so far for me, this thing is absolutely fantastic. Go and get one. Definitely go and get one. More colors are coming up. If you want something that's light, sturdy, packs a punch, and delivers the power that it promises, this one's for you guys. Okay, guys, so that is the IPV2 50 watt from Pioneer4You, featuring the genuine Yeehee e-cigar SX330 chip. Guys, I'm loving this thing. Haven't put it down for about 3 days now. Go out and get one right now. I know I said it for the Canna. I shot myself in the foot for that one. I updated my opinion on it. I will always stay true to you guys, and if I have any problems, you will be the first to know. But I'm definitely not shooting myself in the foot on this one. If you have any problems, any questions, any concerns, whatever, pop it down in the comments below. I will be happy to help you out. Other people on here, I'm sure, will join in the discussion too, to share some of their experiences with this mod. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Bam Vaping signing out.